Hi everyone, it's me again. This will be a little bit different style video. I decided to do one on a personal reason as to why I'm doing this. Now, I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm going to be 36 years old, been disfellowshipped for going on 2.5 years now. When I think about what it is the Jehovah's Witnesses teach, for instance, life in a peaceful new earth, the resurrection of the dead, I think about my own personal situation, and I think I grew up very close to my family, especially my father, my brother, and obviously they don't speak to me. I haven't spoken to them in, basically over 2 years now. Besides all of my family, aunts, uncles, everything, cousins, brother, sister, their spouses now, besides all of them being super Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm married to a woman who is wonderful, but she's also one of Jehovah's Witnesses, born in, same as me. All her family, super Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, when my wife and I first got married, about 2 years into our marriage, we decided to try to start a family. Well, we did have a son. His name was Alexander Miles Reed Clayton, my boy. Due to medical complications, a birth defect known as lysencephaly, never heard of it before then. Basically, he did not live long. He was taken early. He was supposed to be born August 11th, 2011. They took him by C-section on May 27th, 2011, and he only lived for a few weeks, died on June 15th, 2011. When I think about everything that the Jehovah's Witnesses have taught me since birth, and everything I know about them, I have absolutely everything to lose if they're not telling the truth. So that brings me to my channel. Why am I now an atheist and trying to get people to reason and to think about the things Jehovah's Witnesses teach? Because I was, as you might see on some websites, what you'd call PME, physically in, mentally in, meaning I was a baptized witness. Basically, since I was 13, I was baptized. And of course, as time went on, my parents, when they had me, let's just say they were not the most spiritual people. Anyway, things changed. They got their act together, I guess you could say, but I won't get into all of that. Eventually, my father began serving as an elder and has been for a long time. So, why am I telling you all these things? Well, obviously, any young Jehovah's Witness male knows, or any Jehovah's Witness male knows, especially when your father holds privileges, it's kind of expected you as an elder's kid, you're going to do that too. And I did. I tried, my best to make people happy and do what I think was right, but of course I was also an imperfect kid. I pioneered. I was appointed as a ministerial servant at the age of 18. At the age of 19, I was in a congregation that had 2 elders and 1 servant, my dad being one of those elders, and then me being that one ministerial servant. At that time, I conducted the Theocratic Ministry School. I was that Theocratic Ministry School overseer. I had no less than like 3 to 5 parts, it felt like, every week, every meeting, plus preparing all of the student assignments. And I apologize if you don't understand some of the stuff I'm saying. I guess you would just have to have been in the religion to know. But anyway, time went on. People will be people. I got into some trouble. I got drunk a couple of times, partying with some friends. And I was, I guess you could say, living a slightly double life. I did use profanity a lot. I was very good at it. I still am good at it. Fucking good at it. I'm sorry. Not really. Like to use profanity, tell dirty jokes, try to watch movies like rated R movies that come out, or television shows that were everybody else was watching but that would have been disapproved of by Jehovah's Witnesses. And of course I was also watching pornography, which back then was a little harder to get your hands on pornography. You had to kind of know where to buy it at, I guess. The internet was just coming around when I was in my late teens. Anyway, I got in trouble for drunkenness because it kind of got out that I had been drunk. And I lied about it because I was scared. But after everything, I faced a judicial committee. I told them everything. I didn't tell them about the pornography. They knew I did watch it on one occasion at least. Anyway, I was reproved, and of course an announcement was made. I lost all my privileges. Tough time at this time I was 21 years old. Anyway, one second. Gin and tonic, yum. Anyway, fast forward, I got out of the little slump I was in, and I really tried hard. I read my Bible every night before bed, prayed every morning. I did my day's text. I started studying really good and in-depth for meetings, personal study, reading the Watchtower and Awake magazines. I started trying to take it seriously and not be that same guy. Well, time progressed, and I eventually had restrictions lifted, and it was during that time when I met my now wife. And of course, anybody who's a Jehovah's Witness knows you cannot have any forms of sexual contact with somebody you're dating until marriage. Because everybody buys a car before they test drive it. I'm not going to say any more on that subject. But let's face it, it's the reason why Jehovah's Witness children marry 18, 19, 20 years old, because we all know what you're doing. You want to have sex, and that's the only way you can is by getting married. Otherwise, you're in trouble. But that's neither here nor there. I love my wife, I do. Well, we got married. Some time went by, and the ordeal with our son. We lost our son. During that time, though, I had been appointed as a ministerial servant again. And then shortly after that, I want to say in 2012, maybe 2013, I'm not exactly sure, I was appointed as an elder. And during that time, of course, I enjoyed many fine privileges of service in the organization. But after my son's death, I had to go right back to work because we had to have money coming in. So didn't really get time to process, just go back. My wife, thankfully, was able to take at least about a year off from work, just quit her job, and she needed that. I mean, you got to. It's a tragic scenario. But I was not personally dealing so well. See, one of my vices, pornography, reared its ugly head again in my life. And of course, it's wrong, especially when you're an elder. You can see it in the Secret Elder Book, which basically says the same rotten thing that Watchtowers do, just with a little bit of extra help for dummy elders who don't understand how to take care of a procedure properly. Whatever. But obviously, I felt guilty for that. I thought, oh man, I'm destroying my relationship with Jehovah. I'm never going to see my son again. I'm putting all this in jeopardy. But yet I just couldn't face the elders and tell them, hey, look, I shouldn't be serving as an elder. I shouldn't be appointed as one. I need help. I didn't do that because in my head I was thinking it's just kind of too soon to try to say something like this and try to take care of it now, considering we're both still grieving with our son. I just thought, I'll try my best to just work through it. After all, there was a provision in the Elder's book that I had anyway. I don't know if it's still there. You can download it, I hear, if you want. That, as long as a sin occurred many years in the past, even if it didn't come to light when it should have, perhaps just some counsel would suffice. So that's what I was trying to shoot for, is see if I can get a handle on it, so to speak, and maybe many years down the road. But, well, that never happened. And then other things happened, debt, all that, as time progressed. And, it just kind of got worse for me. Now, let me specify, I did use pornography. Nothing illegal. None of the sick stuff. Just, it's all kind of sick, right? Just regular-ish, I guess you would call it. If anybody's ever seen it, typical stuff you'd find. Just, nothing sadistic, nothing kinky, nothing like that. Just regular stuff. But I try to justify it. I guess my drive is a little higher than my mates. That's okay. But of course I did feel guilty for my actions still. But as events turned out at the beginning of 2019, an opportunity presented itself that allowed for me to come clean about my addiction, my habit. And I did, and I knew going in, I'm getting disfellowshipped. I wanted to be disfellowshipped. I did. And my thought behind it was, I really wanted to be able to just get everything removed, go down to nothing, so that way I could fight and claw my way back to Jehovah and show him beyond a doubt, look, this is my gift to you to show you how incredibly sorry I am for my whole stupid past life. I'm so sorry. And when I went into my judicial committee, I confessed everything. I confessed sins back before even my last judicial committee. I just told everything, And, of course, I was disfellowshipped, which I was wanting, and I got to work right away. I did not waste time. I kid you not, I spent no less than 3 to 5 hours a day in study. I'd get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd first thing, prayer, day's text, Bible reading, Bible study, different publications, specialized Watchtower articles. I do research on things that I know I needed to change about myself, my personality. I wanted to really work on my heart in a spiritual sense and my relationship with Jehovah. And I was always begging for forgiveness. Please forgive me. And, I really got serious with it. But of course, as anyone knows, with any sort of addiction, you can make all the plans and everything you want. It's a struggle, right? Well, around the time that I submitted my letter to be considered for reinstatement was about 18 months after I was disfellowshipped. And at that point, it had been 8 months since I had viewed pornography. Now, with that, there was still a couple other things that I was still working on of a less serious nature. For instance, one of them was a few times I had slipped with profanity in that time at work. I think everyone does. As a matter of fact, all the Jehovah's Witnesses I grew up around, including my parents, use profanity quite often. So it's kind of how I was raised, but whatever. I won't get into that. Well, I had my hearing. I was told, no, you're not there yet. Not there yet. I was a little devastated. I was. I made it my determination. I was like, fine, you want perfection? I'm going to be perfect. So I upped my game. I mean, before, 3 to 5 hours of study a day, prayer all day. I'd be at work praying, meditating all day. I'd go on my lunch break. I'd be studying on my lunch break, just anything I could do to try to figure out what is wrong with me. Why do I have this desire in me that seems like to always want to do dumb things that Jehovah would hate? And about 3 weeks after my trying to be reinstated, I felt like I hit rock bottom. I failed again with pornography 3 weeks later, and I was devastated. I kind of quit studying for a few weeks. I just couldn't figure it out. What happened? Well, it was about that time that I had downloaded Pinterest again on my phone because I wanted to see if there was some idea about some project I wanted to do around the house. And I happened to see a quote, and I believe it was by Ricky Gervais, talking about prayer. How it's funny how narcissistic people will be. They'll pray to God asking for help with some menial, trivial thing in their life, when that same God lets 6 million children starve to death every year, or that same God let the Holocaust happen. And I started to think about that. It set something off in my head. I am under the belief at this time that there's an almighty God who is not just almighty, but who is love, and on top of that, intervenes still in human affairs. Why would I want him to use his intervening powers to help me stop doing something stupid when he didn't even answer any of my prayers for my son through that ordeal? He didn't for anyone else's children who get sick and die. You ever see like some of those commercials, like St. Jude's Children's Hospital? That is heartbreaking. There's children out there getting cancer and going through this, and the parents' ordeal of losing your child. And that's just with that. One statistic, 6 million children die of starvation every year. I think my first video I did, I gave a statistic about cancer in children. Now, we're not even getting into, the mothers and fathers that are also sick and dying, or accidents happening and people losing their lives, or you look at so many other bad things happen out there. People pray to God, and he doesn't do anything about these. And you wonder why. Well, the answer to that is because God is going to do something about them. Going to do something about them? He hasn't done anything about them according to the Bible in like 6,000 years. He hasn't done anything. And why? For his name's sake. Well, if we saw somebody who had the power to help, was supposed to help, was promising they could help, was telling everyone how awesome and loving and powerful they are and wise they are, that they could help all these people, and they're going to, and they sat on their ass for like 5 years, wouldn't you look at them like, you're full of shit? So at that point, that little spark in my head, I started digging. I started digging into some of these thoughts. And I stumbled upon an apostate YouTube channel, Lloyd Evans. And I had to verify a lot of stuff that he said because I was just in disbelief. Like, for instance, one of the things that I was finding was the start of the Jehovah's Witness religion. Charles Russell was trying to confirm his 1914 date, and did confirm it, using pyramidology. He went and measured the Pyramid of Giza and started measuring all the openings and everything and saying, this is God's stone, this is his faithful stone witness, and an inch for a year, and that's how we get to that day. I didn't believe it. And so I got the books. Yeah, I got the Studies in the Scriptures books. I was like, I got to see this for myself. These books, published by Watchtower Bible Tract Society of Pennsylvania, written by Charles Taze Russell. And guess what? Pyramid frickinology is in them. I seen it with my own eyes. It's real. Trust me, when I say I don't want to be an apostate, I want Jehovah to be a real person and for the Jehovah's Witness religion to be right. I do. It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what any person believes. Truth is always the truth. And it's funny how the Jehovah's Witness religion does not want you looking at, talking to, reading, watching anything to do with apostate material. And why? It's a good question. Why? Right? It's a good question. It'd be like, if a parent told their child to clean their room and then they ask, did you clean your room? Yeah, they say. The parent says, I'm going to go check. And the child's like, no, don't look. What would you assume as a parent? This little bugger's lying, right? Because after all, if they told the truth, yeah, go ahead, look. See, I have nothing to hide at this point. I can hand my phone to my wife. She can unlock it, do whatever she wants to on it. I don't care what she finds on there because I have nothing to hide. Doesn't bother me. I'll hand my phone to anyone. I have nothing to hide. Now, if you really have the truth, what are you trying to hide? And it's funny how the Jehovah's Witnesses really like to gloss over their history. And they do this by this really odd expression, new light. They always say, well, the light's getting brighter and we got new light. But we're going to illustrate this here for a second. I'm going to go through a scenario and try to help you understand what this actually means. What does light mean? So let's say we've got this couple, husband and wife, and somebody tells you that the husband cheated on his wife. So let's say you're an elder, right? You're going to go investigate this. Two elders go to the husband. They say, husband, did you cheat on your wife? He breaks down in tears and he says, I did. I'm sorry. It was a moment of weakness. I had just found out that my wife of 10 years had been cheating on me the entire time. They're in shock. They go to the wife. They say, well, we would like to talk to your wife. They find out that information is true. Right? So, the first bit of information you got, first bit was husband cheated on wife. Confirmed, it's true. New light shed on it. The wife had been unfaithful the entire marriage. The husband, in a moment of weakness, did it once, right? Now, you can reverse the roles however you want. It's just, that's how I think. I'm a man, sorry. So, you got new light on the subject. Did it make the old light that the husband cheated a lie? No, it didn't. See, what new light does for the first bit of information is it makes it complete. It tells the complete story. So the first bit of information you hear, that might be shocking. The husband cheated on his wife. We confirmed it. That's terrible. And then now, with this new light, that was cool. New information sheds light on it. Now you start to maybe sympathize a little bit. You can see, even though the husband did wrong, yes, he shouldn't have done that, should have got a divorce first, blah, 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 remarried, shouldn't have done that. But you can kind of sympathize with how that happened, knowing this piece of information about the wife. Now let's that's really how new light works, right? You get a piece of information, new light sheds on it. This information isn't wrong, you just understand it better. That's how new light works. But let's kind of do an analogy how Jehovah's Witnesses think it works. Man runs up and says, hey, this guy's wife cheated on him. Oh no. They go investigate. The elders go investigate. Find out, wife, we were told that you cheated on your husband by this other brother, we'll call him. And she goes, excuse me? No, that never happened. When? And they say, well, it happened at such and such a date at such and such a time. She looks at her husband, and the husband goes, well, I know that didn't happen because her and I were here at such and such a date at such and such a time together the entire time. I know that didn't happen. So they go back to the original source of information, the elders do, and they say, that wasn't true. The guy says, oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. No, it was the husband that cheated on the wife, and that was at such and such a date at such and such a time. Okay, so the elders go and they investigate that. And the husband, excuse me? The wife confirms, nope, such and such a date, such and such a time, my husband and I were here together the entire time. That is a lie, right? So the elders go back to the source that's told them now 2 different things, 2 different times, and the guy says, oh, no, it was somebody else. It was somebody else, and it was at a different date and at a different time. And the elders keep chasing the story and chasing the story and chasing the story. See, that's how Jehovah's Witness new light works. The end is definitely coming, definitely coming. The furthest limit, the end is going to be 1914. And we couldn't change that number if we could. That is God's number, not a man's number. That's in print, by the way, in Jehovah's Witnesses' early publications. Guess what happened? Yeah, 1914 came and went, and the earth did not get destroyed. So they moved the goalposts. Oh, no, not that date and time. It must be 1915. No, I guess I'm sorry, that didn't work out either. Again, 1925. By the way, all these dates, look them up. I encourage you to look up Lloyd Evans' channel if you don't believe me, or look at xjwfacts.com, and don't believe either of those two. Take the information they give you, because every apostate out there that's doing this gives you references that you can see it with your own eyes, just like I did. I had to go buy the books and find the literature to see it with my own eyes. Jehovah's Witnesses have been nothing but authoritatively predicting doomsdays. Authoritatively predicting them. And then when they don't succeed, then they blame it on the publisher. Oh, your expectations were askew. You misread it. Trust me, look at the references they give you, and you tell me if it was misread information. It ain't. Again, 1925, 1975 again. And then, of course, we can get into the term this generation, how many times that goalpost has moved. And I'm only scratching the tip of the iceberg of the man-made, pulled out of thin air or out of their butts, bullcrap dates that they give. If you really research your religion, Jehovah's Witnesses, and you don't have to look hard, honestly, you don't. Just research it. If it's the truth, it will hold up to any damn thing you can throw at it, because it's truth after all. Or am I mistaken? Is it not really from Almighty God Jehovah? Is Jehovah too stupid to be able to have truth withstand lies? I don't know. See, to me, if you won't go look at it, you're basically saying you believe that your religion isn't true. You're just too afraid to go look at it. Now, here's what sucks. I can spend hours and hours and hours, just like every other person out there who's researched the religion, and I can give you all the references, all the sources you need to unequivocally prove to you that not only is the Jehovah's Witness religion in no way Jehovah God's organization, according to their own words and the Bible's, but there's also a plethora of proof that Jehovah himself does not exist. Jehovah's Witnesses are 0.001% of the 7.8 billion population. They are a fraction. If you're Jehovah's Witness, you think the world revolves around you. When you're not and you start looking, no, it doesn't. Nobody gives a damn about you. You're insignificant. Really are. You mean nothing. You're the least known religion on the planet. You got nothing. And here's the deal. There's so much more that disproves beyond any shadow of a doubt, beyond any reasonable doubt, that the Jehovah's Witness religion is a man-made doomsday cult, high control cult, because let's face it, once you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're in for life with a gun to your head. That's how it is. Step out of line, you can be disfellowshipped. The threat of disfellowshipping is always there. And you know what happens? When you're disfellowshipped, you lose everything. You lose your family. They turn their backs on you. They say it's the disfellowship who turns their backs on them. You know how much I would have loved to have, a fatherly pep talk help going through things in my life? No, I don't get it. Because my parents are told you can't talk to your son. What's interesting, though, is how they try to twist the scriptures to say that the Bible says you can't talk to your children. It doesn't say that anywhere at all. Nowhere at all. Now I know if the ones watching like, no, this scripture, see, don't even be with such a man. Oh, don't talk to them. If anyone brings this teaching to you, don't listen to them. Don't say a greeting. Read the context of it, stupid. Think. Use your brains. Think. There's a reason why I'm doing these videos. One is once you've seen the man behind the curtain, there's no going back. I could never be one of Jehovah's Witnesses again because I know without any shadow of a doubt that stupid fucking Jehovah does not exist at all. And pardon my language, but you're going to hear the reason why I'm so passionate about this right now. What did I tell you about my wife and I losing our child? You know how many years I held on to the hope that I could hold him in my arms again? I believed that. I thought I knew that was real. No. Now I get to process that death all over again, knowing my son lived and he died, never to exist again. That's it. And it's more than that, because my family is still Jehovah's Witnesses, my wife is. Try living two separate lives with somebody who will not even speak to you about the things that you've seen, the things that you've read, the things that you've seen disprove the organization that thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have seen with their own eyes and are waking up all over. Because we're not in the day and age of our parents and grandparents anymore. We have this beautiful thing called the internet, which sometimes can be a little dangerous or seedy. But the nice thing about the internet is you can fact check the hell out of anyone. You want to say something stupid like, oh, I don't know, Jerusalem was destroyed in the year 607 BCE. If I Google that, you know what I'm going to find? I'm going to find that date is a bullshit lie. Because not just historians, but they've uncovered tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets, clay stone tablets, from the Babylon area, and it's beyond confirmed. No, Jerusalem was not destroyed then in 607. It was destroyed in 586, 587. Google it if you don't believe me. I could Google it right now if you want. I'm not going to. You do it. I'm done doing everyone's work for them. Do your own homework. It wasn't destroyed then. The dates are wrong. And the only thing the Jehovah's Witnesses can say about it is that they'll just discredit the historians. Well, their dates aren't always right. They're not always honest. Well, where'd you get your information then? Give us the link to where you got the information that 607 happened. There is none. So every historian on the planet that's existed throughout time between those events and now, who has done their study, done their homework, went and dug at the site and found the stuff and understands the language and the writings and can read them, and all those people are wrong. But yeah, the 0.001% Jehovah's Witnesses, they got it right. The only reason why that number is held on is because it's the only way they can try to make their 1914 date work. That date being the time when apparently Jesus invisibly inherited kingdom power. And why do they hold on to 1914? Well, World War I happened in 1914. What a coincidence. It's not like there wasn't other world wars that happened before then. Two major civilizations that control most of the world fighting is a world war. Babylon and Persia, Rome, Greece, come on, or Greece and Persia. Those were world wars. Anyway, there's a lot we could get into on this, but you know what? It was so exhausting just to go through and study it for myself. I was just sickened. We could also just get into the fact that, just like the Catholics that the Jehovah's Witnesses love to bash on in their materials, that, oh, lo and behold, they also have been running a nice little child sexual scheme throughout their religion. Don't believe me? Australian Royal Commission. Google that. Australian Royal Commission. You can watch videos of Jeffrey Jackson say, oh no, it would be absurd. We don't believe that we're the only religion God is using on earth today. So if one of Jehovah's Witnesses decides to leave, you're not going to disfellowship them and tell their family they can't talk to them? Because you would. So your actions don't match up to your words. You can also hear Jeffrey Jackson say, yes, apparently we do have a major problem with child sexual molestation throughout our organization. Over 1,000 child molesters uncovered just in Australia alone. That's why it's such a big deal over there. And now, because they started it, they've started uncovering all around the globe this huge database. I mean, don't believe me again? As any apostate will tell you, I don't want you to believe me. Don't believe me. But don't be a frickin' idiot. Look it up for yourself. Now, you won't do that if you're a good little Christian, because you're going to say, no, that's bad. That's apostate lies. You're mentally diseased. Well, I'm a little cuckoo in the head. That's true. But it doesn't change the facts, does it? It doesn't. So if you really have the truth, I invite to you is look it up. I hate the Jehovah's Witness religion, not the people. I love my family. I love all my former friends. But the cult you are in, and it is a cult, a high control cult, fits all the definitions of a cult. If you think Scientology and Mormons and all them other ones are cults or whatever, you guys all fit the same description, so stop trying to make yourselves look good. Again, if you really have the truth, prove it. You're supposed to, right? Be noble-minded like the Beroeans, who carefully searched to see whether or not these things were so. Beloved ones, don't believe every inspired expression. Test the inspired expressions to see whether they originate from God or not. You know what's interesting is in the Mankind Search for God book, it even tells you There is nothing wrong with checking into other religions and other people's beliefs, so that way you can understand them better. Of course, we know that won't apply to Jehovah's Witnesses because you don't have the stomach to do it. The organization doesn't want you to look into other people's beliefs, especially not apostates, because it's not that it can destroy your beliefs. No. It will absolutely destroy your beliefs. Absolutely. If you have one shred, 1 ounce of simple intelligence, as soon as you look, it might take 10 minutes, it might take a couple hours for you to really assimilate what you're seeing, to really, because you're going to be in disbelief. You will. But check it out. Well, that's my personal video. So there's some of my story without getting too involved into details about other people, just myself. Have a good night, everyone, and nobody bless.